Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm a sleep physician, coach, host of this channel. Welcome. We're going to talk about sleep efforts today. Extremely important. Those are things we do to produce sleep, and they always backfire. In this episode, we are going to classify them. We're going to see why they are a big problem. We're going to see how you can identify them, work on them, and get better sleep than you ever thought possible. Hi there, hope you're doing really well. This is, again, I think a really important episode, and it is by popular demand. I was specifically asked to this episode. I'm really appreciating that nudge. So let's get right to it. A sleep effort, briefly here, is anything you do with the goal, intent, purpose of either producing more sleep or preserving sleep, making sure you don't lose more sleep. And the thing with sleep efforts is this: sleep is a passive process. Sleep can only happen where we're not trying to sleep, wanting to sleep, begging for sleep, trying to produce sleep. A good example is, that person that just sleeps so well, like the moment their head hits the pillow, they're out. Ask them what they do to sleep, and they'll go, I don't know, I just go to bed. And that is the perfect example of how, when you have no efforts, absolutely no thoughts about sleep, you're not trying at all, you sleep really well. So let's start working on this. Firstly, I want to talk about a little classification that I've been thinking a lot about. I honestly am not sure if this is just purely academical or if it has some practical merit. I've thought a lot about it, but I want to share it with you. I think regardless, there are some good teaching points here. And so I just thought about how to classify this, and I've come up with offensive and defensive sleep efforts. And an offensive sleep effort is something you do in addition to kind of your usual routine or whatnot, something you add to make more sleep happen. And these are things like you buy a sleep mask, you try some melatonin, you drink some sleepy time tea, you listen to that soothing sound. You're actively trying to produce sleep. That is what I call here an offensive sleep effort. Now, there are also defensive sleep efforts, concessions, things you give up to preserve more sleep. And this is, for example, stop drinking coffee, stop drinking tea, stop drinking soda, stop going to see your friends in the evening, stop taking trips, stop watching TV, avoid screens, etc. Those are defensive sleep efforts. They're, in terms of their impact, etc., I think they're very similar, but I haven't completely given up on the thought that they're important for practical purposes. But just sharing that I believe there is a distinction there. Now, so we talked about what type of sleep efforts there are. Now, why are they not helpful? Why are sleep efforts a problem? Well, firstly, there are three things I want to bring up here. Firstly, they have a direct impact on your sleep this very night. For example, you're lying in bed and you're closing your eyes and you're just trying to force sleep. You're gotta sleep, it's so important, I haven't slept in 3 days, I gotta make this happen. That is a very obvious sleep effort, and that is not allowing you to sleep because all that tension and pressure is blocking sleep. So number one, the first problem here is that a sleep effort has a direct impact on how you sleep that very night. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, this is a very interesting one. The absence of a catastrophic outcome can make it seem like the sleep effort is working. Meaning, let's say you decide, I'm going to stop drinking coffee, and the next night you don't sleep that good, but also it wasn't a disaster, so you think, avoiding coffee preserved some sleep. There was no catastrophic outcome. In reality, you actually don't have any evidence at all for that. You may very well have slept the same with or without avoiding coffee, but you've started now to think that avoiding things can help you preserve sleep. And it goes the same for those offensive sleep efforts. You're trying melatonin, you don't have a kind of catastrophic outcome, you start to believe, the melatonin didn't have much impact, but at least it did something. Oftentimes when we talk to people, they have a lot of efforts going on, and you say, well, is it helpful? And people go, not really, but sometimes it helps, or helps a little bit. And that's kind of that evidence, so that outcome, like when there isn't a catastrophic outcome, people start believing that the thing is working. So that's the second problem there. It's like unhelpful thoughts start to emerge. And then the third one, which is kind of like a spin-off of the second one, if you will, is that when you start, either offensive or defensive sleep effort, it just piles up, because none of them solve your underlying problem of trouble sleeping. So you do one thing, and then you try the melatonin, and then it seems like, oh yeah, maybe it's helping a little bit, and you're often hesitant about like stopping it, because you have this idea that at least it preserves some sleep. It seems to be helpful, and you want to believe that you can do something proactively, so you keep taking the melatonin, but then you think, but I'm not sleeping good, so I got to do this other thing. I'm also going to start avoiding coffee, and then that seems to help maybe a little bit, but then not really. So you just try another thing, and this piles up, and with time you have a whole ritual going on, and not only do you have unhelpful thoughts, you have a whole belief system centered around effort. And now we're not talking about one specific sleep effort. Now we're talking about somebody who says, I have to do these 8 things or else I don't sleep at all. That's an example of how these like unhelpful thoughts have piled up and created a whole belief system centered around efforts. And knowing that one single sleep effort can block sleep, when you have a whole belief system centered around effort, you can see how that is so problematic. So those are the 3 problems I thought of. Now, so let's say you get the point. Okay, the less I try, the more I get. The more I try, the less I get. So what should I be doing? Well, I think if you identify a very obvious sleep effort that you think has a big impact, like the classic one, like just trying to sleep, forcing to sleep, or something of that nature, then try to ease out of that one. Try to just gently, try doing less of it. And you will see that will be really helpful. By the way, whenever you change anything, there's often a little nosedive effect, because you pay more attention to sleep. So don't be surprised if that happens initially. But I think, again, if there's an obvious sleep effort, it's good to start working on that one. Now, the next step, I think, after that is to find these sneaky sleep efforts. And just finding them alone is really helpful, because that's part of your understanding process. And what are these sneaky sleep efforts? Well, those are things like, I wrote down here, you kind of like doing deep breathing exercises, and you may be saying to yourself, I'm just doing this to kind of become more calm, but then you are doing it at night when you're in your bed. That's the sleep effort. Or you're doing kind of meditation, you're doing yoga, and you may be thinking, oh, I just trying to calm myself down a little bit. It's not necessarily a sleep effort, but guess what? If you're doing it at night or close to bedtime, that is a sneaky sleep effort. Another one is the classic one, the boring book. I pick up a really boring book to read at night. Well, guess what? That's a sleep effort. You're trying to make your sleep by reading something really boring. So I thought that's really good to start identifying these sneaky sleep efforts. Just identify them is good. It gives you clarity, and then little by little you can start working on them. Now, why is it so important to work on them? Because, and this is it, I'm going to talk more about the magic moment soon, but this is something that came to me today, and I realized as long as you have any type of sleep effort going on, then when you sleep well, when you sleep better, you will explain away your success. You will not take ownership of it. You will think, the reason I slept good tonight was the fact that I'm not taking coffee, or that I'm taking melatonin, or that I'm taking a sleepy time tea, or something else. Sleep efforts keep you from really experiencing the magic moment when you see, whoa, I can sleep well without doing anything. And that magic moment is the path. That's the path towards really building sleep confidence and sleeping well forever without exerting any effort. And I think that's what I wrote down today. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, send an email, questions@thesleepcoachschool.com. If you think that all you need is on this channel, and you'll do really well just by learning yourself here, perfect. If you need some more support, a kind of curated path towards sleeping well, then please go to thesleepcoachschool.com and check out the free webinar on self-coaching. And if you, on the other hand, are someone who actually wants to help others, if you want to become a sleep coach, then also go to thesleepcoachschool.com and check out our webinar about sleep coaching 101 there. Again, hope this was helpful. I look forward to having you back here today, soon again, I mean to say. And for now, just take it easy.